to sixth leading cause of death in some countries. Fourth to sixth. Can you imagine? So if you're talking about cancer, say heart diseases, stroke, then on fourth number, you may have adverse drug reactions, right? So very important. One more thing I would like to tell you. How many people die due to adverse drug reactions every year? More than 6,50,000 people, right? 650,000 people, more than 650,000 people globally die due to adverse drug reactions. The number may be more, okay, because there is underestimation for sure, and there is underreporting for sure. The number may be much more, right? Now you can appreciate the value of being in this field, right? The value of being in this field. Okay, now let's get started with the various facets of patient safety. Okay. Now I would like to ask you this question. Okay, and that's something which I would also do. I will tell you. Okay, how do you handle expired medicines at home, office, or in a healthcare setup? Now I'll give you my own example. Right. Yesterday I was cleaning my house and I found some old ciprofloxacin tablets. Okay, old antibiotics. Now I realized that these are expired and these got expired in 2020. Now what should I do with them? Right? There were only something like 5 tablets in the strip, only 5 tablets. And I had purchased them long back, but then I forgot to take or some reason. Now I have these medicines. What will I do with them? Right? Now, if you ask me, and what I did is I threw it in the garbage or I threw it in the dustbin. When I ask my friends what they do, some of them, they will crush it into powder. They'll mix it with water and water the plants. They can do that. There are some people, what they would do, they would remove the tablets. They'll flush it down the commode. There are such kind of people as well. I know some of you might have had this answer in your minds. So that is absolutely normal, I would say. Even in my case, I would throw it in the garbage or a trash can. Now, when I threw ciprofloxacin into the garbage, where is it going to land? So this is my tablet. I threw it into the trash can. Okay, I threw it into the trash can. Now, where is it going to land from here? The trash can, we would have the municipal corporation, right? So in every country, it is different. They would carry all the garbage, right? They would carry everything. Now, what are they going to do? We don't know, right? In every country, it might be different. In some country, they trash it or they throw it into the water bodies. Yes, this is possible. Or else we may have huge mountains, right? In some countries, they create mountains with all the garbage. That is possible. Or we may even have industries, right? So industries, they may also be discarding all the waste, right? They may be discarding the waste into the water bodies. Possible. So I'm talking about a company that manufactures ciprofloxacin, and they had some old ciprofloxacin, or say the manufacturing process, there was some ciprofloxacin residue, and they might say thrash it, or they may discharge that into the water bodies. Possible? Very, very possible, right? I'm not exaggerating. Now this ciprofloxacin that I threw has now reached the water bodies. Now what is going to happen? Everybody remembers this? School times, right? You might have heard about this. What is this? Right? You remember this? Some people even call it food pyramid, right? Or it is something like a chain, right? So what is it about? So first of all, I threw the ciprofloxacin into the garbage. It reached the water bodies. Now the fishes came in contact with ciprofloxacin, right? So other aquatic animals came in contact with ciprofloxacin. Now what has happened? This water has been used for watering the plants, right? The same water, right? And plants. It can even be your favorite organic foods, right? So the same water might have been used for watering your organic foods, right? The plants, right? So it can be possible. The fruits, vegetables, what we are consuming, we don't know which water, or does that water contain ciprofloxacin? We don't know, right? So we don't know. And there can also be some vegetarians who might also consume, right? So some vegetarians who would consume these plants and foods, right? So there can even be primary consumers, right? So the deer, the rabbits, right? Birds. So these all are all dependent on the plants. So that ciprofloxacin that I threw have reached these animals. From here, it has reached to the secondary consumers and finally the tertiary consumers, right? So it has reached to all levels. Now the ciprofloxacin that I threw into the trash can has reached the environment, right? So with this, I have a short video for you people. It's a very, very short video, just 1 minute and 30 seconds, less than 100 seconds. Right? I hope all of you were able to hear and you saw that, right? So many medicines are found in the water bodies, right? Fantastic, right? So all these things are happening in this world and we were not aware of, right? Now you might be wondering, why is this guy talking about these things when we were supposed to learn about pharmacovigilance, right? So you'd soon get that answer for that, okay? Now, when you say pharmacovigilance, it is about side effects or say, I would say adverse drug reactions. But here we are talking about the environmental side effects of medication. How can medicines impact the environment, right? So only human beings get side effects? No, it can even be the environment that can get a side effect, okay? So any guesses, which animal is this? Think about it. Which animal does it look like? So this is a frog, okay? Now I'll ask you a quick question. Can chemicals turn a male frog to female? Can chemicals turn a male frog to female? The answer is yes. Feminization of male frogs in the wild. Okay, so there are certain chemicals present in the water bodies. These can result in feminization of male frogs. Not only frogs, it can even be fishes. It can even be fishes. So yes, it is a very serious issue. So the frogs can be feminized, even the, say, fishes can be feminized, right? So dangerous, right? Somebody threw the oral contraceptives into the garbage. It reached the water bodies. Fishes came in contact, frogs came in contact, and you know what can happen. Environmental contamination by fluoroquinolones, right? Ciprofloxacin is a fluoroquinolone. For those who are pharmacists, you would appreciate this. Embryo toxicity of fluoroquinolones in rats, right? If a pregnant lady has an infection, you don't give ciprofloxacin. Why? It is embryo toxic, right? It can cause congenital anomalies. So ciprofloxacin in the water, the rats can get impacted, right? Even the birds can get impacted, right? So anything can happen. Now, $1 million question for all of you. Are human beings bad? What do you think? Only animals get impacted, or we human beings can also get spared or can be impacted? What do you think? The answer is yes. Recently, we have seen so many females are developing polycystic ovarian disease, right? So many cases of infertility. What is happening, right? People are throwing oral contraceptives, or people are excreting the metabolites, or say final products, right? Somebody took oral contraceptive medicines. We are very happy to say that it got metabolized in the liver or in the intestine or something. The urine contains some residues. The feces contains some residues. Environment now contains oral contraceptive, right? So what can happen? Estrogen derivatives, everything in the environment, right? So it can impact the female fertility. So these are all published literature. I'm not exaggerating at all. We all want big vegetables, big fruits, right? So big mangoes, why? Or big potatoes. So there are people who inject hormones, oxytocin, or some other chemicals into the potatoes to have large potatoes. We can have French fries with large potatoes. So this also things happen. And finally, human beings can get exposed, right? How about trihalomethanes in drinking water, right? You're talking about European Union. Is drinking water safe? No, right? Chemicals are present. How about antimicrobial resistance, right? So ciprofloxacin in water, right? Ultimately, you get exposed. There can be AMR, antimicrobial resistance, right? So this is the food chain, or I would say this is the chain for antimicrobial resistance, right? So you can see the water bodies, and then you can also see the animals consuming and everything. And finally, the human beings are developing antimicrobial resistance, right? Anything can happen in life. This is an article from UK, United Kingdom. Antidepressants in water, tap water containing antidepressants. Can you imagine? Prozac, fluoxetine, and it can form some toxic chemical in the water, right? So dangerous, right? So, yeah. So before we move on to the next facet, so what did we learn about till now? That was something called eco-pharmacovigilance or pharmacovigilance. Okay. So that is the environmental side effects, right? The pharmacovigilance and eco-pharmacovigilance. Okay. That is what we learned. Now, the next facet, a question: do you use hand sanitizers, or did you use hand sanitizers? Answer is yes, right? All of us went through COVID, right? All of us. Can hand sanitizers cause headache, nausea, or dizziness? I'm using it in hands. Why should it cause headache, nausea, or dizziness? Right? What people do before driving? And if there are people sitting in the car, what is going to happen? Or else there are people who spray hand sanitizer or sanitizers into the, say, steering wheel. There are people sitting behind or on the left, right? All getting exposed. Okay, you have a mask, but eyes are open, right? Eyes are getting exposed to these hand sanitizers. What can happen? This can cause trouble, right? The FDA warns that vapors from the alcohol-based hand sanitizers can have side effects, okay? So this is possible, right? So because there can be methanol contamination in certain hand sanitizers, it can be toxic, right? Dangerous. It can even kill the person. Some more, where the room fresheners were recalled because these were contaminated with dangerous bacteria. On the right, you can see mercury poisoning linked to skin products, right? The shampoo, creams, right? So these are real life examples, right? Mercury poisoning, the cosmetics that we use, say even the lipstick, it may have mercury, right? It can be dangerous. One more, dry shampoo recalled over positive benzene contamination, right? Shampoo. Okay, so even that is possible. So what did we learn about? This was about cosmetovigilance. Okay, so this was cosmetovigilance. Why? So first facet we learned was eco-pharmacovigilance. The second one is cosmetovigilance. What is special about cosmetovigilance? It deals with collection of adverse events with cosmetics, evaluation of adverse events, and even monitoring of adverse events with the use of cosmetics. Okay, but normal use, only during normal use. So if somebody is dark and wants to become fair overnight, and they apply lots of chemicals or lots of, say, creams overnight, next day morning they have a rash. No, that is not acceptable in cosmetovigilance. It should be only with normal use. Okay. So some real life examples related to cosmetovigilance. What is asbestos? All of you have heard about asbestos, right? I think, yes, you are able to recollect what is it. And can asbestos cause cancer? Now, a quick question to all of you. Do you know this product? Is this product available in your country? Probably yes, right? So do you know anything about it? Like this company stopped selling talc-based baby powder in the US and Canada. This company stopped selling. Why? Why? Because it's so much well-known product. Why was it stopped? Because there were claims that this contains asbestos. So talc contained asbestos. So there were claims. Okay. And because of this, there were some things going on. So I have a short video for you people.
Overnight, Johnson & Johnson announcing a major change to one of its iconic products.
Pure Johnson's baby powder from Johnson & Johnson. It's a feeling you never outgrow.
The pharmaceutical giant saying it will no longer use talc in its baby powder products sold in the U.S. and Canada. In a statement, the company blaming declining sales fueled by misinformation around the safety of the product and a constant barrage of litigation advertising. According to the American Cancer Society, talc, a mineral known for its softness, can contain asbestos, a substance known to cause cancer. While Johnson & Johnson has long touted the safety of its talc-based products, the company has faced thousands of lawsuits from customers linking them to cancer. Among them, 63-year-old Dean Berg, the first to take on Johnson & Johnson in trial, alleging its talc-based baby powders led her to stage 3 ovarian cancer.
I am 100% certain that it caused my cancer.
In 2013, a federal jury in South Dakota sided with Berg and found Johnson & Johnson negligent but did not award her any damages. In 2018, Reuters published a report saying that from at least 1971 to the early 2000s, the company's raw talc and finished powders sometimes tested positive for small amounts of asbestos. Information Johnson & Johnson reportedly failed to disclose to the public. The company denied the report's allegations, but months later revealed it was at the center of several federal investigations over whether its talcum powders were linked to cancer-causing asbestos. In October, the company voluntarily recalled 33,000 bottles of baby powder in the U.S. after the FDA found trace amount of asbestos in samples from a bottle purchased online. Johnson & Johnson points out in a statement that all verdicts against the company that have been through the appeals process have been overturned, adding that science is on their side, vowing to vigorously defend the safety of their product and the unfounded allegations against it as it starts to wind down production.
This is what I wanted from the very beginning. No further people are going to be exposed to this.
Right. So all of you saw this, right?
Oh.
So something which happened here, right? Women with cancer awarded billions in baby powder suit, and something April 4th, less than a month ago, okay? Deal reached for 8.9 billion talc settlement, okay? And because of this, the product is banned in some countries or not available in some countries or like not being sold in some countries, okay? So these are So this was about cosmetovigilance. Okay. Now, we learned about two facets. Okay. First facet was eco-pharmacovigilance. We learned about cosmetovigilance. Now the third one. So this is about a lady. Okay. And there are her 3 sons, and there is some blood transfusion going on from her 3 sons. Okay. Some people from India, they would realize. So it's a common movie called Amar Akbar Anthony, just for your information. And what is special here is this bottle. Okay, this bottle, there is 1 tube going to this lady and 3 tubes going to the 3 men or 3 boys or 3 sons. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so 1 tube going to the lady and 3 from her sons. Now let me tell you one thing. Blood transfusion is not that simple. Okay, and blood transfusion can also result in fatality. Okay, blood transfusion can kill a patient. Okay. Now, do you know how many units of blood are donated every year? More than 118 million units. 118 million units, more than that, right? Almost. So what do you see? Hemovigilance? Hemovigilance, this is hemovigilance, deals with monitoring, reporting, investigation, analysis, donation, processing, transfusion, and prevention of blood-related side effects. Blood-related side effects. Okay, so that is hemovigilance. So that's the definition from WHO. You also have the European Medicines Agency definition. Okay, so I won't go deep into it. So that is hemovigilance. Okay, even blood. Okay, pharmacovigilance, and you also have something. Sorry. So you also have something called transfusion reactions. Okay, so when you say transfusion reactions, it can be something like infectious, non-infectious, acute or delayed. I won't go deep into it. Errors, pathological reactions, or it can even be severe reactions. Okay, so that was hemovigilance. Okay, now let's go to the next facet of patient safety. Okay, what all facets have we gone through? First one was eco-pharmacovigilance, then cosmetovigilance, then we learned about hemovigilance, and now hip transplant. Do you know hip transplant? Yes, so many people, elderly people, undergoing hip transplant, right? So in hip transplant, this is something which is happening, right? So this is something which gets fixed, right? And it gets fixed in this way, and somebody gets a new hip. Okay, so somebody gets a new hip. Now I'll also tell you something. There is something called as pinnacle hip implants. Okay, so that is cobalt chromium. Okay, this metal is made of this metal is cobalt chromium. Okay, cobalt chromium. Now I would quickly tell you again this company, but then I don't have anything against it. But then the examples are such. So there is a concept called revision surgeries. Okay, when somebody undergoes a surgery, say let's consider the example of say hip transplant. Okay, somebody underwent a hip transplant, but the surgery failed. So you need to undertake a revision surgery, right? So you need to remove the old and fix a new one, right? So say 2 years, 3 years down the line, there can be some issue, some problem with the transplant, and that can be a problem, right? So in this case, what happened? Right, this is supposed to happen. Now there was cobalt poisoning. Why? The cobalt nickel or cobalt chromium, the cobalt started getting released from the prosthesis, right? From the transplant or implant. Okay, so now what happened? There was poisoning, right? It destroyed or say impacted the surrounding tissue. Why? Some quality issue with the implant. Quality issue with the implant. And then what happened? In 2010, August 2010, this implant was recalled globally. Again, there were lawsuits and settlements. Okay, so there is a video. Yeah.
People are filing lawsuits over metal-on-metal hip implants in general due to the mechanism of how the device works. What happens is that you have a metal ball and the metal socket, and when the hip is in use, the two grind against each other, and small particles of metal actually chip off of the device and become embedded into the surrounding tissue, into the bloodstream. So what happens is that the surrounding tissue around the hip implant becomes necrotic and dies. And then all these the metal particles are disseminated into the bloodstream. So that can cause neurological deficits, high levels of cobalt and chromium, and necrotic or dead tissue surrounding the implant, and the implant has to be taken out and removed. And we're seeing this as often as, within a year to 18 months after the hip is implanted. So there has been, literally hundreds of thousands of lawsuits filed based upon the defective nature of the metal-on-metal hip implants.
So what was this? This was material vigilance or medical device vigilance. Okay, medical device vigilance. Okay, another new facet of patient safety, right? So again, settlements of almost $1 billion. Okay, huge number. It's a huge number. Okay. So, and this something in Australia, and here it was 250 million Australian dollars of I think $250 million settlement. Right. So with this, we have learned about the various patient various facets of patient safety. Right. We know about pharmacovigilance. Beyond that, there is eco-pharmacovigilance, there is cosmetovigilance, medical device vigilance, there is hemovigilance, right? So many things. You also have something called as addictovigilance, right? People from France would appreciate something called as addictovigilance related to addiction, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is it's a big universe in front of you. And you can choose any career opportunity which you can come across, right? So best aspect of this entire thing, patient safety, is it is recession proof. Anything goes wrong, patient safety is required, right? So no pharmaceutical company can escape. They need to undertake pharmacovigilance. They need to undertake material vigilance, device vigilance, say hemovigilance, right? So anything, right? So it can be, it is recession proof. And there are a lot of opportunities because of underreporting, right? Only a fraction of adverse events are being reported. Okay, and this COVID vaccine was a game changer. Now, because of COVID vaccine, now everybody knows what are side effects, right? Even family members, everybody knows side effects. I will not take COVID vaccine. Why? Because I may get side effect, right? There are people who say this or had said this, right? Now there is a lot of awareness, right? But then there is underreporting. So any qualifications, even IT people can get into patient safety, right? It's all about technology. So basically anyone, like even today, I think most of you are pharmacists. All of you are welcome into this field, right? There is a career opportunity for all of you. Even if you are an IT professional, even for you. Or you are a pharmacist wanting to get into IT, yes, there is an option for you also. So yes, you have a lot of options, right? And you have so many facets of patient safety. Okay, that was about the career options. Now, what quality, skill, or trait does one require to succeed in this field, right? So pharmacovigilance as a field, right? And you want to succeed, right? How can you succeed in this field, right? So for this, I'm going to talk about something else now. And that is about being curious. Now, you might have thought that I should learn pharmacovigilance, or I should get a training in pharmacovigilance, or you might have thought that I should have great qualifications, I should be a physician, or I should have a work experience. For you to succeed in this field, that is, once you get into the field, I'm saying, you need to be extremely curious. The people who are curious in pharmacovigilance or patient safety are the ones who succeed. Okay, so let me tell you, or let me admit that the more curious you are, then say, what do you say, inquisitive, right? So you would try to learn, right? Today you learned so many facets. Tomorrow you will search, right? If you are planning to do some thesis, now you have so many topics in your mind, right? You can even think about eco-pharmacovigilance, right? So you never thought of those things, right? So the more the curious you are, the more you would succeed. Okay. But now there is one thing everybody is talking about, and which is going to be the next topic. But I won't delve too much into the next topic by Dr. Omar. But then I would quickly say what activities can be automated, right? So today everybody says no, or there are people who would say don't get into pharmacovigilance. Why? Because everything is getting automated. People are talking about artificial intelligence. You get into any field, people are now being skeptical. Don't worry about that. So even say 20, 30 years back when computers were invented, or say computers came into the market, people thought everybody would lose jobs. Absolutely nothing to worry. But there are certain things we should still remember, right? So some questions. Which is the most valuable quality of human beings? One activity that only humans can do. What activities can be automated? And one thing that can harm you the most. Can you think about it? The most valuable quality of human beings. One activity that only humans can do. You get a robot or anything, a machine, it cannot do something. What activities can be automated? And one thing that can harm you the most. So for this, there is something called as deep work. Okay, this is a book by Carl Newport. Okay, it's a concept, deep work. And this deep work is only something which human beings can do. Okay, and it's all about our attention span and distraction. Today you have YouTube, you have Facebook, Instagram, you have so many things. Everybody is trying to grab your attention span, right? Everybody is trying to distract you. Netflix, all of them are trying to distract you. Why? Because they would then make money. But then let me tell you one thing. This inherent quality of deep work is going to help you in succeeding. So something, you focus on something, you learn, you say, get more curious and delve deep into a particular topic, and something which you only focus and only do a particular work, right? So you can do that. So in pharmacovigilance, you don't say I'm multitasking. I'm talking over my phone and I'm doing the data entry of a patient record, right? It doesn't work. You need to have that particular attention span, or say you don't need to get distracted. You're talking to your friend and doing the work. No, nothing helps. So this is something, yes, you might feel that why this guy is taking a D route. Yes, because deep work is the only thing which is going to help you in this field, or for that matter, any field. Let me tell you, only then it will work. So I know the next topic is going to be about artificial intelligence by Dr. Omar, and he's going to talk about automation and stuff. But this is something which you should always remember. Okay. So it's all about big data. Okay. Nowadays, everything is about big data. COVID taught us, right? So billions of people got immunized with COVID vaccine. So much of data, right? The world is full of data, right? So the big data awaits you, right? Welcome to the field of patient safety. Not only pharmacovigilance, but even eco-pharmacovigilance, material-vigilance, cosmetovigilance, right? Hemovigilance, so many things, right? So are you ready to create an impact on patient safety? Are you ready? I'm sure the answer is yes, right? Don't worry about these robots and automation and artificial intelligence. You can create an impact on patient safety. With that, I come to the end of today's session. So I'm available on LinkedIn. You can always connect with me, right? And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now I'll stop sharing, and thank you everybody for patiently listening to me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, for this fruitful session. Thank you for showing us that the way we used to get rid of medicine, how it's going to affect us in an indirect way and how it affects the environment. Thank you for explaining the different type of vigilance. So we understood more about pharmacovigilance, cosmetovigilance, hemovigilance, and metarovigilance. I hope I'm pronouncing them right. So thank you so much. We know more about these fields. We have 4 questions. I would like to start with the first question. The audience wanted to know more about how they can get rid from the expired medicine at their home.
Wonderful. So in the United States, there is something called as drug take back day. Okay. In the US, so you have 2 times in a year where you need to send all the old medicines to a particular place, and it is there all over, in all the 50 states, multiple places, they do it that way. But in our countries, this is something which is not really happening. So this is something where you can innovate, you can take some, say, stand or say something we can do. But the WHO, let me tell you, the World Health Organization has already prescribed something, that how they are supposed to, or how you are supposed to eliminate or dispose medicines. It's there since 2001, I think. It's more than 22 years. The WHO had created this, but unfortunately, this is not being followed. But yes, if somebody wants to start something like, or get into a startup or something, this can be a fantastic thing. If you send it back to a pharmacist, they are not going to do anything. But then this is a big field, I would say.
Yes, a very big field. And I think after this session, all of us wanted to join it. So one of the participants is asking if he is joining for Pharmacovigilance, can he switch his domain to Pharmacovigilance after getting experience, if this is possible or not? And if this process is the same or different in both fields?
So somebody is in material vigilance, then I think they should remain in that field, because there is a shortage of staff or manpower or people in material vigilance. So, but then yes, you can have experience of everything. Even you can even get into cosmetovigilance. There is no there's no problem in that, because when you say material vigilance, you also have a drug device combinations nowadays, which is pharmacovigilance and material vigilance, right?
Yes.
So you have a pre-filled syringe. So syringe itself is device, and inside the syringe there is medicine. So it is a combination. So yes, you can always do that. There is quite a bit of overlap, right? But then it is more widespread. Pharmacovigilance is more widespread.
Okay, thank you so much. We have another question. One of the audience is asking, what are the career options in this field as a biotechnologist?
So, see, you can always get into something like a medical information, right? Or see, it's always thought that it is only for pharmacists, only for physicians, right? It's not like that. So even a biotechnologist can get into it. Only thing is, getting the first job is can be difficult. But then once you get into the first job, then you can do data entry. You can after some time you can even do quality review, right? You can support with receiving adverse events. You can even handle calls, right? Medical information call center. So yes, there are career opportunities even for biotechnologists.
Okay. Our last question, one of the participants is asking, does pharmacovigilance only look for safety of pharmaceuticals and medication errors, or other cosmetic products are also included in pharmacovigilance?
Fantastic. And that is exactly the reason why I was always using the term patient safety.
Yes.
So pharmacovigilance is only about medicines. Cosmetovigilance is only about cosmetics. Then material vigilance is only about medical devices. Hemovigilance is only about blood. So to answer your question, cosmetics are separate. Pharmacovigilance only deals with medicines. Cosmetovigilance only deals with cosmetics.
Thank you so much. There is another question. How can we start in the pharmacovigilance field?
See, firstly, if you can get trained, that can be fantastic. So if you receive training, right, even we have started some free certification courses in pharmacovigilance through VGSO Foundation. So we have almost 7,000 people globally taking this course and being certified till date. It's a big number and free of cost. So we have done that. You can do that. See, getting the first job is only going to be the challenge. But once you are into the field, then amazing. Life is going to be fantastic. So you can take up courses and get into the field. But then when you're taking courses, ensure that they can place you into the field. So that can be the only risk, that you spend or invest a huge amount of money, but you are not placed into the field. So that can be the only risk. But then yes, once you get into, or else what you can do is you can get into medical information, and from there you can deviate or you can divert into pharmacovigilance. So that is also a possibility.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Manoj, for your time and for this fruitful information. So now we're going to switch to Dr. Omar Amir's session, who is going to discuss some qualification required to work as a drug safety or pharmacovigilance professional. Dr. Omar, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Hajar. Thank you very much. Thank you, and kudos to your presentation. I was not far from here, but yeah, it's always a pleasure to hear from other experts and to learn. It's a journey, and we're still learning from others. Yeah, even with the gray hair, but yeah, we're still learning from since we're born until we go to the grave. So thank you very much. I would thank Hajar and IVPN for their consideration and for the invitation. For the IVPN, it's not the first time I'm involved in such webinars, such events. It's always a pleasure, and we always accept with the passion we have for pharmacovigilance, for drug safety, and in fine for the patient safety as well. If you allow me, I can share my screen and presentation.
Yes, sure.
Oh, not this, but yeah, here. So yeah, today we will talk about to explore the world of pharmacovigilance and drug safety. I will share what is the skill sets, what is the different skills, the different roles, the different the day-to-day, what skills are important for day-to-day activities within drug safety and pharmacovigilance. I will use different terms like I'm doing now, pharmacovigilance and drug safety. Those terms are interchangeable, but there's slight difference. I have wrote an article on LinkedIn about that. Yeah, as I mentioned, always I'm using the different terms that I use in North America, in Europe, or in MENA region as well, as I was involved. And I will start by introducing myself, as I was involved in different regions of the world, alhamdulillah, and in different areas of drug safety and pharmacovigilance. So my name is Omar Aimer. I'm a PharmD by training, pharmacist by training, and I got a PhD. I'm a pharmacovigilance and drug and device safety. The last 2 years, I'm more involved. Even I still in the drug safety space, but in the medical device safety space, because this is a new trend and new interest within the pharmacovigilance and drug safety space and drug and device safety space in Europe, in North America as well, in Australia and in Japan. I have the experience to work in regulatory authorities first, and I will details my career path, just to share with you what a pharmacovigilance professional can do. And I worked in a big pharmaceutical companies and in biotechs in Canada and the US. And I found, and I'm president of InnoVigilance, which provide trainings and services. So first, I'm originally from Algeria. I was graduated in 2000 from the University of Oran, and got my PhD from the University of Algiers, the capital of Algeria in North Africa. So yeah, in the MENA region. Then I moved to Paris, in Paris, to the Paris Descartes University in France, when I got my master's science in this industrial pharmacy. I got my master's science in pharmacovigilance and drug safety from the same university. It was an educational path. Now for the career path, I was a lecturer on pharmacology at the University of Oran in Algeria. In my home country, I was a director or head of pharmaceutical products quality control director. And then when I moved to Paris, I worked at the Hôpital Européen Georges Pompidou, the European hospital, Georges Pompidou, part of the Greater Paris University Hospitals, APHP, Assistance Publique des Hôpitaux de Paris, for several years. And I was in this network of Paris hospitals, a pharmacovigilance and device safety officer in the meantime. Then I moved to North America. I joined the big pharmaceutical companies. I joined Sanofi, Pfizer, BMS, and other biotechs. I was part of the World Drug Safety Congress as a speaker, as a chair of roundtables in Americas and in more in the US and in Europe, Amsterdam, in London, in Philadelphia and Boston. Contribute to different articles in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. Was in interest more in the impact of the artificial intelligence on the pharmacovigilance, which is not the future, but it is the present now, as we are using a lot of AI, machine learning, deep learning, and I'm sharing this just for you to, for the audience to integrate in what areas, what are the different skills and what are the different impact that we have and that we can have within the pharmacovigilance and drug safety. There's another part which is the ISOP, International Society of Pharmacovigilance. I was involved several years before as an executive member of the North American chapter. And then I was elected last year as an executive member of the whole ISOP and the treasurer of ISOP. I got certification in improving global health and safety, based on or focusing on safety and quality at the Harvard University in 2020. And I founded InnoVigilance, which is part of innovation and vigilance for pharmacovigilance and drug safety, the vigilance in product health. So as a reminder, I know that maybe you have this definition, which is the definition of the World Health Organization. The pharmacovigilance is defined as the science, and it is a science, as there's a lot of research about the safety of drugs, the safety of devices, of health products. And we have cosmetics, we have blood, biologics, vaccines, blood and gene therapy. We have different products, not only medicines, as we know them. So there's a lot of research, academic research, a lot of collaboration between university and the pharmaceutical industries. So this is very important. So it's a science, but also the pharmacovigilance is constituted by different activities. So there's research, but there is also activities, different activities that we can see after that, the studies, safety studies, the case processing, the data collection, the risk management, the signal detection, So different activities that are related to the detection of adverse events, to the assessment, and in this, there is a lot of assessment, and in the assessment we need as a pharmacist, as healthcare professionals, let's say, because who can be involved in who it can be pharmacovigilance practices. It can be it depends on the background, but we can be a medical doctor, pharmacist, nurse or nurses, the nurses, and with the scientific background. So as healthcare professionals in the assessment, we need, it's highly recommended to use the medical judgment in assessing adverse events, in assessing the risks. There's a lot of assessment which is expected from us as pharmacovigilance professionals. The understanding of the risks, the understanding of adverse events, their causality assessment, why they are occurring, when they can occur. So yeah, we try to understand those adverse events, their root cause, their origin. So yeah, we need to understand and to assess and to expect. So different actions, and in fine, and at the final, all of this, the detection, the assessment, and the understanding of adverse events or adverse drug reactions, or we have different terms, medication errors, off-label use. So yeah, all the adverse events, we need to detect them, to assess them, to understand them in order to prevent them. So, and the prevention is the risk management, and in order to ensure the patient safety. So if I have an adverse event that a patient A experienced, I have to do all this flow to prevent that this adverse event will occur, or that a patient B will experience the same event. So yeah, this is the cyclic flow of the pharmacovigilance. We need to detect, to assess, to understand in order to prevent, and in fine, as I mentioned, is for the patient safety. Very important and a very accurate definition of the World Health Organization. As it's mentioned, the prevention of adverse event or any other drug-related problem. And here we have, it covers different definitions of medical device incident, of medication error, off-label use, overdoses. So yeah, different with what we call a specific events. So the pharmacovigilance covers the entire life cycle, and some newbies, I mean, in the drug safety, or those who are not involved in the space, some of the fresh graduate think that the pharmacovigilance is only in the post-marketing. No, so it's not true. The pharmacovigilance covers the entire life cycle of the products, since the clinical trials, the preclinical trials, and then in the post-marketing of a medicinal product. And the medicinal product or the health product can be, as I mentioned, drug, vaccine, medical device, cosmetics, and natural and herbal medicines as well. So the pharmacovigilance is therefore an activity contributing to the protection of patients and public health and patient safety. What I say always to my mentees, to the people that want to be involved in drug safety and pharmacovigilance space, what we wake up the morning, of course, that we wake up for our work, for our family, for our life, entire life. But let's say in focusing on the career, if we have the passion for that, when we wake up, we have to think about the patient safety. And in order to ensure the patient safety for the patient, who can be us, our families, our friends, to avoid them experiencing adverse events that can be minor or non-serious adverse events, and other adverse events that can have a burden on the patient, and that can be serious, unfortunately one goes to the death of patients. So it was a broad introduction in pharmacovigilance and drug safety. Here, in this slide, we will see how the evolution of the profession of the pharmacovigilance, and what is the point of conversion between different activities, and just to understand what knowledge we should have. So as I mentioned, the pharmacovigilance is the medical research, is a science, and I mentioned the clinical research, the medical research. So we are focusing more on the research and the results of clinical research or clinical trials. And as you may know, during the clinical research, clinical studies, or clinical trials, we always, the pharmaceutical companies, the biotechs, when conducting those clinical trials, they are doing medical research in order to understand the efficacy of the product and the safety of the product. So to know how their product can be efficient, but always and definitely safe for the patients. So it's very important. If and this is the role of the pharmacovigilance, in order to be more sensitive for the concept of risk benefit or benefit risk. So the benefits is the efficacy and the risk is the safety. So we need to know what is the efficacy or profile of the product, but also the safety profile of the product. If our product is efficient at 99%, and then our product is not safe for the patient, let's say at 50%, at 70%, then the product, if we do the risk-benefit balance or ratio, or the benefit-risk ratio or balance, then the product, it's not an interesting product or medicine or health product for the patient, because there's a lot of risk for our patients. And we need to move forward and to look for other products more efficient and less risky for our patients. So there's a lot of medical research and a lot of epidemiology in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, which is very important. The second point is the regulatory affairs and the regulation. The safety and the drug safety is an extensively regulated space. There is a lot of regulation in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. And as a pharmacovigilance and drug safety professional, we need first to have the knowledge, as I mentioned, of the research. What is the research? What are the different phases? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 in post-marketing, the post-authorization safety studies. What are the criteria of inclusion, of exclusion? What are how to recruit patients, the consent of patients, the different research, the epidemiology as I mentioned, and in the other side, we need to know and to have a strong knowledge of the regulatory affairs of the guidance, the guidelines of ICH, of the FDA, of the European Medicine Agency, of Health Canada, of TGA in Australia, of the PMDA in Japan, which are the major regulations, but also the local regulation. If we are based in other country than the US, than Canada, which there is a strong regulation. But I know that there's other regulation in like the GFDA in Jordan, the SFDA in Saudi Arabia, in Oman, in Dubai, in Qatar, in different region, in Morocco, in Algeria, Tunisia. So yeah, and the other region in India, if we have audience from there, so worldwide. But I mentioned the ICH regulation, which is global, the UMC Uppsala Monitoring Center guidance, the SciEMS guidance as well, which is an organization joint organization between UNESCO and the World Health Organization that release guidance for clinical trials, but also for pharmacovigilance and drug safety. So this is very important. Medical research, regulatory affairs or regulation, we have deadlines, we have timelines, we have good pharmacovigilance practices. Like you know, maybe you may know and I'm sure that you know the GCPs, the good clinical practices, the GMPs, good manufacturing practices, you know, the good laboratory practices. And in pharmacovigilance, we have the good vigilance or good pharmacovigilance practices, which are the GVP, mostly the European, but there's GVP in Canada, there's guidance from the US and guidance from Australia as well, and guidance from Europe. So very important to know, as I mentioned, to be a successful pharmacovigilance and drug safety officer, to know the research, the drug development, and the regulatory time frames. And at the end, if we are involved in the pharmaceutical industry, we have to understand the marketing part. Very important, because in the pharmaceutical companies, we need as healthcare professionals, of course, to know the research, to have the medical judgment, to know the regulation in order to be compliant, but also to be business oriented. Because if we market an unsafe product, we will have a burden on our patients, and we can lose the image of the company, we can lose the confidence of the consumers, of the patients on our company. So if there's any problem, safety problem related to our product, the patients can lose confidence in our product. We will see the name of our product, the name of our company in the news, on the news, and with the negative news. And there's a lot of impact of the business of the companies. So I can evolve the idea that I shared earlier, that when I wake up, if I'm in the pharmaceutical industry, working in pharmaceutical industry, don't forget that you are a medical doctor and you are driven by the passion for patients. If you are safety, if you are a physician, if you are a pharmacist, if you are a nurse, healthcare professional, dentist, that can be also involved in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, veterinary as well for animals, because there's veterinary vigilance as well. We are driven for the safety and the patient safety. But in another level, we are driven to be compliant with the authorities, because in case of inspections, and if we have if we have deviations on the regulation and we are not compliant, it can compromise the work of our company in drug safety and in pharmaceutical industry. The other thing, we are driven and we are working for our company or pharmaceutical company, so we need to communicate, to understand, to sell the most safe product for the patients, in order to have to ensure the image of our company, our business, that we are committed in the production, in the manufacturing, in the make available a safe product for patients and consumers. Very important. So what are the pharmacovigilance best practices? So we need the knowledge of pharmacovigilance, very important. I was involved within more than 20 years experience in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. I saw different colleagues that are dedicated, that they have a lot of how would say, they are efficient, they are dedicated, but they just work and they learn to do on the spot how to do the pharmacovigilance. But if we have the basic knowledge and an education in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, even basic, we can evolve, and we can evolve more and more, and how would say, quickly in the space, in health authorities, in pharma industry, or in academia. So the knowledge of the pharmacovigilance practices is very important. There's a free access for those GPVs on the EMA, or the European Medicine Agency website, the guidance of FDA, Food and Drug Administration, the SFDA in MENA for Saudi Arabia as well. There's the Health Canada website. You can find the GPVs, or good pharmacovigilance practices. You can have the guidance of ICH on their website, so they are more available and free access, so you can learn from these sources. So the existing legislation, very important. So the knowledge, very important. The knowledge of the regulation or legislation, the regulations and guidelines that you can find in the respective website that I mentioned. The expertise in therapeutic products and areas, very important, because the pharmacovigilance in oncology is slightly different than in diabetes, than in hematology, than in pneumology, in different areas. I was involved, for medical devices, so you can be more and more expert and more specialized when you will be involved in therapeutic areas, different, and the safety is different, the risks are different, and the understanding of the practices and the basics are the same. But the more you're specialized in the therapeutic area, you will have more expertise in those products. As I mentioned, in oncology, there's a lot of, and as we know, there's a lot of adverse events in oncology products, and how to handle, how to process, how to assess those events, how to prevent those events in patients. with oncology products, just for examples. The different products in dermatology, for example, they are different. The adverse events are different. So yeah, the knowledge is very important. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we need to learn, and we still learn every day within this science, and yeah, with our day-to-day involvement in this space. The safety data administration, and we need to have a good reading and analysis of the product literature. There's a lot of literature around the efficacy, around the safety of the product. You can find it on PubMed, on Cochrane, on Embase, the literature databases. We can also have this knowledge, or have to this safety data by attending the conferences and external programs, different research programs, government programs, and to take part on in-house training sessions and meetings. And there is a lot of trainings conducted by the World Health Organization, but the ISOP, International Society of Pharmacovigilance, in different meetings of the ICH, different meetings of science, different webinars. And this is what you are doing now by attending the IVPN as well. So let's see here, if you are and you choose to join the pharmacovigilance space, different mentees, different colleagues that want to join or fresh graduate, they're asking themselves, when I join, what roles I have to be involved in, what roles. So we can start by as a pharmacovigilance specialist, and let me tell you that there's difference in the how those roles are named from a company to another. This is the main roles that exist, but sometimes the specialist in a company equals associates in another company. More in pharmaceutical companies, because it depends on the culture of the company, the headquarters of the company. If it's an American company, it's called more safety officer. As pharmacovigilance is a term, as I mentioned, you can read the article on my LinkedIn profile, the article between the difference, the slight difference between drug safety and pharmacovigilance. Drug safety is more utilized and used, a term used. Safety is more a term used in North America and in Australia. However, the pharmacovigilance is a term more used in Europe. So from my perspective and experience, in the European companies like Sanofi, like Novartis, like Roche, like we have more the name of those roles as pharmacovigilance specialist, pharmacovigilance manager, pharmacovigilance director. If the company is more from North America, then you will hear the safety term, and you can, like in Pfizer, like in BMS, like in American company J&J, Merck as well. They have more they use more the safety term, and you can find safety specialist, patient safety specialist, patient safety manager, safety officer, safety director, safety physician. So yeah, but they are equal from a company to another. I mean, with the duties and the skills and the job descriptions, not heavily different. So we can start by a specialist, as a specialist or associate, then evolve as a manager, and there is senior manager, there's manager and senior manager. It can be divided in, it depends on the company and of the affiliates. Then we can evolve to the director, and director we can be first associate director, then a director, then a senior director. And at the end, we can be a consultant, as a freelance. We can be a trainer and educator in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. And there's a plenty of roles. What I can share is that there is a lot of lack in pharmacovigilance professionals nowadays. In North America, worldwide, but in North America, in Europe, in Australia, and I can share that in Europe and North America, when I'm mostly involved, there is a huge lack of pharmacovigilance professionals. If you want to be involved in pharma, more in pharma, I mean, or in the other settings, hospital settings, in the government settings, I mean, regulatory authorities, like in the FDA, like in Health Canada, they're highly looking for pharmacovigilance professionals. And when I say that pharmacovigilance professionals, they are looking for people that they know at least the basics of pharmacovigilance. And let me tell you that I'm involved 18 hours a day in this, and it's Sunday off day, and I'm involved with IVPN in this webinar. I know that there's a lack of professionals in pharmacovigilance, and if we have the good knowledge, if we have the good training, and there's a lot of trainings, not as much, but there's trainings in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. If we got certifications, if we got masters, if we got a basic experience in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, you will have a good chance to be involved in drug safety and pharmacovigilance companies or in the pharma within those departments. Sorry. So the pharmacovigilance regulation guidances or guidance, good pharmacovigilance practices, you can, I cannot explain in 5 minutes what is done in the day-to-day activities, but if you are involved in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, you can be involved in the case processing. So the case processing, we have a raw data, safety data, that we receive, and we have SOP, standard operation procedures. All is quality management driven and framed. We collect the raw data in safety, and we have to process this data. So we have to do the data entry of this data on safety databases. We have to assess the seriousness of the cases. We have to write a narrative, and this is a medical writing skills that we should have. And in using the safety databases, we need to have an IT skills or soft skills using those databases, generating the narratives, as I mentioned, the assessment of the causality, the quality review, the medical review of this data, to have from the beginning of collecting the safety data, raw safety data, and conducting follow-up, to have at the end an ICSR, and ICSR are the individual case safety reports that we need to submit to the health authorities. So those ICSR can be submittable to, if you are in US to the FDA, if in Canada to Health Canada, if TGA to in Australia to the TGA, PMDA in Japan, and the European Medicine Agency in Europe. And locally, if you're in Saudi Arabia, you have to submit your cases to the SFDA and GFDA for Jordan and EDA in Egypt as well. So depending on the timelines and the deadlines, submission or requirements in your local country. We have to make the safety surveillance. So we need to make the safety surveillance of and the pharmacovigilance and the surveillance of our products in the post-marketing. We have to do the signal detection. The signal detection is we need, after the safety surveillance, we need to detect the new adverse event that can emerge, that can appear or occur after years of the use, months or years of the use of our products. Then the risk management by implement or write the risk management plans, implement risk minimization measures, as I mentioned, in order to prevent the reoccurrence of the adverse events in other patients, and to prevent. So we have different reports, and this is also a very important skill that we could have and that we should have, is the medical writing of reports, the papers, the PSURs, the RMPs, and now with there's a trend in using ChatGPT in the medical writing, so it helps a lot. Even with the gray hair, we use the new technologies, new AI, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, in our field in drug safety, and it facilitates a lot our day-to-day work, and it reduces the huge workload and the huge amount of data that we received, safety data that we received every day. So when conducting case processing, safety surveillance, signal detection, risk management, at the end, someone, it can be internally, auditors, or the inspection or the inspectors from health authorities, have to come and to assess our processes, our activities, our work in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, in order to check the compliance with the regulation. And remember that I mentioned before that it's an extensive regulated field. So very important, the regulation and the compliance is a word that it's always in our heads every day to be compliant with the regulation. If we're not compliant, there's a lot of risk for our business, for our companies, and at the end, there's a lot of risk for the patients. Very important, the patient is the final point of what we are doing. So if I can add this point, when I wake every morning as a professional of drug safety and pharmacovigilance, my main objective is to ensure the most safe product for the patient. It can be me, because we have medicines in our it can be me, it can be my family, it can be my friends, it can be the patients in general that they are consuming, they are taking products and medicines. It can be so the patient I'm a pharmacist, and I was driven, and in choosing pharmacy or medicine, medicine school or nurse, I was driven to provide the most efficient and efficient treatment to our patients, and care and healthcare to our patients. And when I'm involved in a company, in pharmaceutical company, for example, I'm motivated to help build this business and to ensure that there's no impact on the business of the company. And part of this, I need to work with the compliance mind to be compliant with the regulation, because I know that within a year, within 2 years, within 3 years, we will receive inspectors from FDA, we will receive inspectors from Health Canada, from the European Medicine Agency, and auditors, and they will come and check our activities and see if there's no deviation. If there's major deviations or critical deviations, as I was personally involved and educated in audits as well in this field, very important that there's a risk for the business of the company and the risk in fine, as I mentioned, for the patient. The pharmacovigilance. Yeah, sorry.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say if it would be great if you can wrap up in 5 minutes so we have time to answer the questions as well.
Yeah, 100%. I have just 2 or 3 slides left.
Great. Thank you, Doctor.
And I have I've seen my time efficiently. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding me this. So what the pharmacovigilance, what are the main duties? As I mentioned, we have to manage, or the pharmacovigilance professional have to manage or manages adverse events, ICSRs, to process, to follow up, to notify the regulatory authorities, to notify the business partners, to review literature and social media, to write and review aggregate reports. And here we have the medical writing, which is very important, to fill and archive documents. And we have to archive all documents in drug safety and pharmacovigilance for 25 years, which is very important. To be involved in clinical trial activities, as I mentioned, the pharmacovigilance is part of the entire life cycle of the product. Please don't think that the pharmacovigilance is only part of the post-marketing, but it's very important part of the pre-marketing and of the drug development, because the approval of the product by health authorities, by Health Canada, by SFDA, by FDA, by the European Medicine Agency, is based on 3 pillars: the efficacy of the product, the safety of the product, and the quality of the product. So this is the main 3 points that the health authorities assess before providing the authorization, marketing authorization of all the marketing authorization, for the products. So we have to review the pharmacovigilance aspects of protocols, clinical protocols, and other documents, IB or investigator brochures, and the different, we have DSURs, the drug development update safety reports, which are very important to ensure the management of adverse event case reports, the SUSARs, the SAEs, safety adverse event, or a serious adverse event, the SUSARs as well, for those that are involved and know those I would say cases, to reconcile information in pharmacovigilance and clinical research databases. As a pharmacovigilance professionals, we have to contribute to the compliance of pharmacovigilance activities, as I mentioned, to assure or ensure the compliance of pharmacovigilance activities, conduct case reconciliation with concerned departments or business partners, and takes part in audits and inspections. We have to serve as in advisory capacity to revise products monographs, or SMPC as it's called in Europe, or the labels in US, to draft responses to pharmacovigilance requests from regulatory agencies. And here the communication and the medical communication is a strong skill that we need to have in pharmacovigilance. Writing emails, writing communications, letters, writing letters to healthcare professionals, writing emails and report to health authorities, and communicating with other departments, with the regulatory affairs, with clinical department, with the marketing department. The communication is very important in drug safety and pharmacovigilance space within the pharmaceutical companies, but the other as well. Yeah, participate in drafting and implementation of pharmacovigilance contracts and agreements, which are the SDEAs, or a safety data exchange agreements. Here, the skill set that need to be, and what I mentioned, that pharmacovigilance specialists, professionals need at least to be to have a university degree in health sciences, as I mentioned, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, or PhD, with pharmacy, nursing, medicine, or related discipline in biochemistry, biology, microbiology. So to have a scientific background, within sometimes 2 to 3 years of relevant experience in pharmacovigilance, clinical research, or regulatory affairs. But I know that for fresh graduates, they ask themselves, if I don't have experience, how can I be involved in this if I have zero experience? So we can replace this zero experience by trainings that can help you to get this knowledge, because the companies, they want 2 years experience at least for people that want to involve, just to ensure that they have the knowledge of the activities, and if they are sure that in choosing this field. So the different skill sets, we have to be autonomous, or the autonomy to be organized in work, to have analytical and critical thinking, to have the ability to work on multiple projects simultaneously. So yeah, you can have a portfolio of 5-6 products, for example, and you have to jump in from a product in hematology to another product in oncology, to communicate with healthcare professionals, then to communicate with health authorities. So you have to be to have the ability to work on multiple projects, to have the ability to work as a part of a team and to be a team player, to have the ability to keep tight deadlines and to meet the deadlines and work under pressure, because we have deadlines in submitting, in submitting, and in the declaration of the case safety case, the safety cases, or ICSR, individual case safety reports. The fluency in English, as we are part of, when we are part of big pharmaceutical companies or health authorities, because there's a lot of international communication, but also in the local language, which is important. If you are involved in France, so you have to be fluent in English and French. In MENA region, maybe English and Arabic. Here in Canada, English and French. In US, English and some Spanish for the south of southern US. So yeah, the fluency in the local and in the international language is very important. As I mentioned, excellent communication skills with different internal and external stakeholders. Communication, very, very important. The last slide is just to know that the PV or safety specialist reports to the manager, and the manager reports to the director, and the director to the CEO or to the executive director or the vice president of your institution. And just to share that in InnoVigilance, we provide training with the support of our experts. We provide a QPDS training in drug safety and pharmacovigilance, an online training, and you can visit innovigilance.com. You can connect or follow my profile on LinkedIn. I don't have other Instagram or Facebook, but InnoVigilance, we have Facebook and LinkedIn profile. We share a lot of information related to that. And I'm present for talks in Clubhouse as well. Thank you for your attention. And yeah, sorry for 2 minutes, additional 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Omar. And your session was very informative, and it was very amazing how we understand the best pharmacovigilance practice through safety data administration and the knowledge of pharmacovigilance. Also, it was very important to career path options for this interesting profession. Then you took us to regulation and guidance of pharmacovigilance and the skills that we can gain to join this field. I think after this session, many of us are going to join in pharmacovigilance.
Hopefully.
So thank you so much. Thank you. Now it's time for the discussion question. We have many questions actually. So we can start with the first one. One of the participants was asking if you can tell in brief the reflection on pharmacovigilance in Algeria as a science or job. Do you think it's developed and efficient to actually ensure patient safety or not?
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for the great question. It's coming from Algeria, I think. And yeah, as I'm Algerian, I'm aware of the Algerian, actual Algerian landscape in pharmacovigilance and drug safety. Even I know what is happening in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, in Gulf countries, and in other, as I'm involved internationally within the ISOP in India with not me personally, but with my network, and this is very important. Yeah, the pharmacovigilance in Algeria was always present with the CNPM, which is the Centre National de Pharmacovigilance in French. CNPM in Del Ibrahim. I know some people from there, mostly, but it's more based on a public area, and need to there's the guidance which are of the guidance of the CNPM in 2019, which are great guidances from the CNPM. But I think that we need and the CNPM to be honest, need to be more involved in international landscape. As I know that Algerian, they have a lot of skills in this field and they can be excellent. And it's not just specific to Algeria, but it's specific to our North Africa, and our if we can compare with the US, with the Canada, with Europe, which is the pharmacovigilance is really advanced, very advanced. But I think that what is done in those countries, developed country in Europe, in Canada, in the US, and the other, can be really done in our countries, Algeria and the other countries. So I think that we need to move forward and to have more collaboration on the international, to have to share the experience from the other countries, and to to learn from the other experience. I think. I hope this answers.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Our second question is, which database we can use for getting secondary data on pharmacovigilance if we are doing a research in any drug?
Yeah, this is very important question as well. I don't know if I can avoid to advertise the names of databases, but there is a lot of databases in the field of pharmacovigilance, developed by different companies. I don't know if I can be fair, but I have any interest with any of those companies. The most used in the pharmaceutical companies, they are Argus, Oracle, ArisJ from ArisJ, LifeSphere. There's PV Edge, which I know from India as well. There's Abicube, Safety Easy from France. But there's a lot of others. But of course, there's a lot of safety databases. The health authorities, they have their own databases, as we can know, or we may know. The World Health Organization, they have their VigiBase, Health Canada Vigilance Base, the database. Sorry, the fears for the FDA, and the ultra-vigilance for the European Medicine Agency. And those safety databases are using more and more artificial intelligence in the treatment and the extraction of this data.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Another question is saying, what is the difference between pharmacovigilance and pharmacoepidemiology? Are they the same or not?
No, they are not the same, definitely. But in pharmacovigilance and in conducting clinical trials, in conducting safety studies, we lean on the pharmacoepidemiology to conduct our safety studies, to understand and to explore the safety profile of the product. They are two different fields that are closely used, closely important for if we are involved in pharmacovigilance studies in pharmacovigilance field, we need to have the knowledge and we need to collaborate with our specialists in epidemiology and pharmacoepidemiology.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Our third question is, which database, after PharmD, which job opportunity is better as a fresh grad in the domain of pharmacovigilance? Is it clinical pharmacovigilance, clinical research, clinical data management?
So pharmacovigilance is different than clinical research. The pharmacovigilance, we are more focused on the safety. The clinical research more focused on efficacy, but some part of safety, because there's some requirement in clinical research in the submission of safety reports, and there's a lot of training for PIs. I mean, the physician, the principal investigators, the IBs, the use of the investigator brochure. It depends on your passion for the pharmacovigilance and drug safety. What I can share is there is a lot of and plenty opportunities, at least in North America and in Europe, in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. Of course, I'm not talking about the immigration part, but if you are nowadays in North America, if you are in Europe, and you have those skills and you want to join pharmaceutical companies or research, there's a lack of qualified professional in drug safety and pharmacovigilance. So there's a lot of opportunities in US, in Canada, in Europe, but as well in the MENA region, if you have the knowledge and the experience, but more the knowledge to gain this experience. it's worth it.
Yes. Thank you so much. One of the audience would like to know if following the adverse event following immunization is a part of pharmacovigilance as a drug safety surveillance officer.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for this question. And yeah, there is we had during the pandemic different collaboration with the World Health Organization, with science, in conducting the surveillance following immunization after the COVID-19 vaccines use. But it's not only the COVID vaccines, as we have other vaccines. So very important. And the following the surveillance of this those vaccines, very important that we can have adverse events. And why it is very important for the vaccines, as well, what we saw with the COVID-19 vaccines, that the vaccines are with large exposure to the patients. If we have only a product for therapeutic area, like insulin, even there's a lot of diabetes, people with diabetes around the world nowadays, but it can be only for, or the insulin is used only by patients who have diabetes. But the vaccines, the COVID-19 vaccines, was all people, the whole people, let's say billions of people around the world, they received the COVID-19 vaccines. And when we were kids, we received the other vaccines that we know. So the exposure on the vaccines is very important and is very broad, and that's why the surveillance of the adverse event of vaccines is very, very important. And there's a lot of publication, a lot of research. Last year we published a paper on the pharmacovigilance of development and surveillance of adverse events in COVID-19 vaccines with my co-authors from the ISO. So, and you can find it as well on my LinkedIn profile if you want.
Wow, that's very interesting.
You're welcome.
So talking about the AI or artificial intelligence, one of the audience say that he heard about that ChatGPT 4, the last version, that is not updated to the current year. So how we can use this information and depend on it in pharmacovigilance?
To be honest, what I'm using at maybe a basic level is to help writing in the medical writing, in the medical writing, maybe it can have, and I know people that are advanced in using ChatGPT, they have more knowledge about this tool, but personally I'm using it in reshaping the report, reshaping the communication, to have a draft protocols, to that what I shared during the presentation is that a pharmacovigilance professional need to be aware of the AI, how the AI, the machine learning, the deep learning, the RPA, the different tools in AI, how those tools can be beneficial, or how they can benefit the pharmacovigilance and drug safety, and finally the patient safety. So why? Because we are experiencing a lot of data, safety data coming from healthcare professionals, from patients, from lawyers, from different sources, from social media, from literature or medical literature. I can say that the VG-base of World Health Organization, they have 20 million of cases, 40 millions for the FDA, 5 millions for the Canada Vigilance database. There's a lot of data. And when we collect this amount and big amount of data, we need to assess and we need to process this data. And those tools are very important for us, using those tools to reduce this huge workload and to be more efficient in using this data.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So our last question from our Algerian participant, they are saying if we want to enter the pharmacovigilance field and wanted to ask if AI could be implemented in underdevelopment system like Algeria or until it's advanced.
Yeah, they're very important. And I know Shakib is one of my mentees. Thank you for attending and for your question. It's from my perspective, it's very simple. If you have 100 cases, I don't know if it's worth it to use AI. Yeah, that as you can just process this data on Excel sheets. But here we are talking about millions of cases. And because the awareness in reporting the cases and the safety data and the clinical trials conducted in the US, it's a huge market. It's the leading, North America is the leading market. I'm not negating the other markets but this is a fact. And this is what is happening now. There's a lot of development. There's a lot of clinical trials. There's a lot of regulation here in reporting, to have the data. And this requirement from health authorities, this development, extensive developments in the US, in Europe, in North America, in Europe, and other regions, generates a lot of data. If we are in a country where there's not a lot of requirements, because to be honest, we report, we do the work more, and it's a human fact. We report, we do when only when it's required, only when it's mandatory by the legislation. If it's not required, if it's not mandatory, if only on the voluntary basis, we as a pharmacist, as a medical doctors, as a nurse, as healthcare professionals, I understand that we have a lot of things to do. But if we have part of our duties, the adverse event reporting as mandatory, if we don't do it, we have fines, we have we have deviations, we have how would say a burden on our business. So we need to do it. And when we do the reporting, when we do to the clinical trials and the reporting of the cases, we generate data. When we generate data, we will have a lot of a big amount of data, and then we need to implement AI to generate this data. So in summary, the amount of data in the US and in a country that is my home country in Algeria is not the same. So yeah, if we don't have a big amount of data, no need to use AI tools unless we have a big amount of data. I hope this answers.
Yes, it was a very good answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, I would like to thank you, Dr. Omar, for your amazing session, and it was a great honor to have you with us. So before thank you. Before we end our session, we have one last question for Dr. Manoush.
Okay.
Okay, our question is, if the medicine is expired and they have the potential to develop resistance, which means antibiotic resistance or not?
Okay, it's not maybe it was Manoush, yeah, sorry. But
yes.
I don't have any response. Maybe Manoush is sorry,
sure.
sorry.
No problem.
But then thanks, Dr. Omar. It was a fantastic session. With regards to expired medicines, so first of all, we should not use them. But then, yes, because the expired medicines will have low potency, if somebody uses, it can result in AMR or antimicrobial resistance. So it is possible.
Dr. Manoj, if you can repeat the last part.
Yes, it is possible. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So before we reach the end of our session, I would like